What's up, guys? I am Blake Culver, and this is my wife Cherie, and we live full-time in a 33-foot travel trailer, and we opened a gym, and we started an online fitness company, whatever you want to say, ministry thing, but all that's a really long story. And first thing we need to do is tell you how we got here and why we're doing what we're doing, and it's a pretty amazing story that I think can change a lot of people's lives, and we'll give you some insight and some explanation for why we were inspired to do what we do and why the heck we live in a travel trailer with 2 kids. Haley, who is our daughter, she's 10, and Jackson, our son, is about to be 7 on Mother's Day. And so why the heck we live in a travel trailer full time, why the heck we opened up a gym in the most saturated market time ever, and why we continue to do it and struggle and grind it out every day, day in and day out. The simple answer is because we love it, and we have a story to tell, and we want you all to hear it. So let's back up a little bit and go from the beginning, and I'll let Cherie explain to y'all kind of how we got started, where the idea come from, and we'll start from the beginning, and it'll be broken up into several parts, I'm sure, because it's going to take a while to tell this story, but I think you'll be blessed throughout the whole thing, so I hope y'all enjoy it.
Okay, so kind of taking a step back before we got here, we've been married almost 12 years, we love fitness, and we kind of prayed about, you know, starting our own fitness ministry. You know, we've kind of done and been to several different places and seen what we liked and not liked, and we wanted ours to be more of a fitness ministry instead of just a typical gym. And so, you know, we lived in East Texas for about 4 years, and we trained some people on the side. We both decided to go back to school to get nationally certified as personal trainers, and we kind of started our own little thing just for fun, obviously, to see how it went. We had a lot of people very interested to do outdoor boot camps. And so in the meantime, you know, through all this, we have been praying for discernment and guidance on where the Lord is leading us in our life and with our careers and all kinds of things. And before I move forward, I remember one thing specifically, praying, you know, is telling the Lord, you know, I surrender everything to you. And you know, it's very hard to surrender everything, and I still struggle with that. It's almost impossible. If we did, then we'd be completely perfect. But I remember telling the Lord that no matter where we go, no matter what we do, no matter what trials we face, you know, I trust you and I surrender it all to you. And so anyways, you know, God kind of opened several doors to bring us to Fort Worth, which is where I'm originally from. And so I got a job as a personal trainer at a nice facility, and then Blake was gonna run the boot camps until we got the business growing. We planned on doing it outdoors. And so we prayed about it and felt at peace. And so sure enough, we moved down here August 14th, which was a Saturday. And the dates are so distinctive for a very good reason, and you'll find out here in a second. So we moved here on a Friday, actually it was a Friday, and we only moved about half of our stuff. We went to a birthday party that day, my niece's birthday party. Everything was great. Kids were great. Sunday, our son started running a temperature. And for those who know our son, I know most of you don't, he's our sick kid. And so he was born with RSV. He was hospitalized 3 years in a row with pneumonia. He's our asthmatic kid. And so fever is just one thing that he gets a lot. And so it's just kind of a natural thing for us. We don't think much of it, especially, you know, because the symptoms are a lot alike. And so, you know, it was just a low-grade fever. And so then Monday I start my new job, everything goes great, and Blake calls to tell me that his fever isn't going down, and it's not going below 101. And so you know, I take off early, and we take Jackson to the doctor, and the doctor checks Jackson out. He checks his lungs, his ears, his throat, his heart rate, and everything seems completely normal except for his lymph nodes being a little bit swollen. And so he's like, well, I mean, you know, I'm not finding anything, you know, very prominent, so we'll just give him an antibiotic, and whatever it is, it'll knock it out. So that's what we did. We gave him an antibiotic, and then Tuesday, day 2 of my new job, you know, Blake calls me and tells me that Jackson's fever is like 104 point something. He's now throwing up nonstop. You can't not touch him at all. Like he's screaming bloody murder. You can't touch him because his body hurts so bad. And of course, in my mind, I'm thinking, is it the flu? I mean, you know, no one gets the flu in August. And so, you know, it's not his normal symptoms. His normal symptoms when he has fever is, you know, snotty nose and a cough, you know. And so that alone was kind of out of the ordinary. You know, of course, we just kind of monitor it and play it by ear. We rub peppermint oil on his feet, you know, anything we can to try to get the temperature down, and nothing is working. And so I called the doctor back, and he said I would take him to Cook Children's Hospital. And even then we kind of hesitated because, you know, we don't really have insurance. And, you know, most ER visits, when you go, you're there for like 6 hours, and it's normally nothing, and they just send you home. So because we've had several of those experiences, we were kind of hesitant to even go to the hospital, to the ER. And God just kind of laid it on my heart and said, go with your gut. So I did. And of course, it was late at night, and my new job, I knew I couldn't call him the next day. I had to be there at 5 a.m. And I was like, you know, I'm just going to go and take him. It was like, what, 8 o'clock at night? So we rushed him to the ER. And
yeah, this is let's back up for just 1 second. Remember, the whole plan, you know, the whole plan thing was that Cherie got this new job as a personal trainer. And our thinking was, okay, great. You got this new job as a personal trainer. That's what we went to school for. That's what we're trying to do. But we're trying to do our own thing. Trying to open up our own company and stuff. So I'll start doing the company. Start on that while you do this. Have some income coming in while we grow the business. And everything will be great, right? Well, not really. That's not ever how it happens. So this happens in over a span of 2 days for him going from feverish and all that to us taking him to the ER. When we got to the ER, they put us in the triage room where they kind of check you out, and immediately the guy tells us, look, don't be alarmed, but he meets some certain criteria for sepsis. And we're going to go ahead and put him in the ER room immediately. And he said, don't be surprised if there's a bunch of nurses and a bunch of doctors. We just taking precautions to make sure, you know, what's going on. So they send us to the ER. Me, I'm still thinking, okay, it's still not a big deal. You know, he'll be okay.
Me being a mom is already kind of freaking out.
He's just really sick. And Cherie's already kind of freaking out a little bit. So we go to the ER room. And that dude was right. Like 6-7 nurses roll in, emergency room doctor rolls in. They're like, we got to get an IV in him because he's dehydrated. Like I said, I don't know how he became so dehydrated so quickly. That was what kind of shocked me.
Well, we were shoving fluids down him all day Monday when he had fever. We were shoving fluids down him every hour. But then the next day, Tuesday, he was throwing everything up. So, I mean,
yeah,
he was extremely dehydrated.
But anyways, they started, after poking him about 14 times because they couldn't find a vein because he was so dehydrated, they finally ended up, you know, of course he's crying because he's been poked already so many times, and they start pumping him full of fluids, and we're just kind of watching him like swell up, like his whole body like starts swelling, and you're like, what's going on? Why is he so puffy everywhere? And it's because they were pumping him with so much fluids, and come to find out later his kidneys weren't working. So all this fluid that they're pumping into him was you know, going to, you know, the other tissues in his body. His body was holding all this fluid, so he looked terrible already. And so I started to get a little bit worried then, but I was still, you know, he's still gonna be okay, you know, he's just really sick. So they told us that they thought that he might be have sepsis, which is, you know, an infection in your blood.
Bacterial infection, yeah.
And it can be really serious, so they're going to move him to ICU. So we go to ICU. They get the ICU doctor in there. He comes and tells me I need to get an arterial line in him. I think that's what it was, wasn't it? An art line?
Yeah, art line.
Which is where they, you know, do this main catheter right in here. Anyways.
And of course he wasn't sedated. They said they could give him a medication to help. You know, of course it's hard enough because, you know, you see your kid sick, not feeling well, and then them poking him so many times, which is torture, you know, and then he's swelling, so he's hurting because he's so swollen. And then the fact that they have to come in here and put a massive needle in his neck and him not even be asleep. So you talk about a nightmare as a parent, watching your kid you know, go through all this pain and you feeling so helpless to not do anything. And so
Yeah.
he, they partially sedated him, and of course we're there watching in this ICU room, and he's at it for what he said it was going to take no time. He worked at it almost an hour. Horrible. Jackson kept waking up, moving, crying. Like I say, just a horrible experience for him and for us.
Yeah.
You know, and praise God he doesn't remember any of that. But anyways, he finally gets the PICC line in, and
yeah, he finally got that in, and then he set me down, and you know, I'm glad he did too, because I was still, I think, in denial that, you know, how serious it was. You know, I think that's something that you do when you're a man, is you don't want to face any emotions really, so you just, you know, oh, he's gonna be okay, you know, everything's gonna be fine, you know. And I was in that kind of that mode, and that doctor sat me down. He said, look, I'm gonna be honest with you. He said he's in septic shock. He said he's a very sick little boy, and we're gonna do the best we can. And when you hear those words, when you hear a doctor say we're gonna do the best we can, that's what you see in movies and everything else right before somebody dies. You know, they say we're going to do the best we can, you know. So when he said those words, we're going to do the best we can, that's when the seriousness of it set in for me personally. He said it's going to be kind of touch and go, you know. We're going to do everything that we can in our power to make him better, but he said you need to know up front that he's extremely sick. And you know, I think he was just kind of preparing me for the severity of the situation. And I'm actually really thankful that he did that, because it kind of, you know, opened my eyes and to let me know how bad the situation was. So after that happened, after he sat me down and told me that, you know, all the emotions start coming, you know, the fear, questioning, the anger, you know, all that, the why him, why a little kid, you know, everything that you go through, you know. And when you're a parent and you see your kid like that, you know, it gets pretty rough. I think we'll stop there, make this part 1 of the video. I'm not trying to be dramatic and leave on any kind of a cliffhanger note or anything like that, but I don't want the video to be 40 minutes long, and it's going to take a little while to tell the story.
And we've wanted our story to get out for a while. It's more of a testimony. I hate to say story because it's a testimony.
Yeah, it is. And there's so many things that happen that I'm going to tell you, that we're going to tell you coming up, that happened that I can't skip over. You know, I told her, I said, well, we need to keep this video short. I'll edit it. But there's so many things that I think are important for everyone to hear that I don't want to skip over them. So instead, I'll just break this video up into several parts, and hopefully y'all watch each one of them, because I think each one of them will
bless your life.
Yeah, I really hope so. And that's the whole point of this first video, this introduction into what we do in our little story here. So we'll end it here at part 1, and we'll pick back up with part 2 next. Thank y'all so much for watching. Bye.